Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of Beyond the Call. This is brought to you by the Richmond Police Department and WBON TV. My name is Lieutenant Josh Hale, and with me today I have a very special guest who they've allowed us to come to Frankfort and meet with them kind of off-site from where we would normally do the program. I have with me Attorney General Daniel Cameron. Thank you for coming, sir.
Thank you for having me, Lieutenant Hale. I appreciate it.
So I'll just, as we discussed kind of off camera, I'll kind of explain to you as we explain to everybody what this program's about.
Of course.
Beyond the Call is just a program that we do as frequently as we can to get information out there to the general public, to our communities about things going on that are involving law enforcement or things that could concern them safety-wise. And we just interview a lot of different guests, and today you are my fantastic guest. So thank you again for being here.
Well, it's my honor. I really appreciate the service that you're providing to citizens there in Madison County, and look, Richmond. I spent a lot of time there. I would work for a federal judge for a couple of years, and we'd occasionally stop in Richmond to travel to Thai Smile. So I'm a big fan.
It's still there.
Yes,
so
sir.
It's a good place. That's a good plug. Now they get a plug for you talking about them. So, I'm glad you enjoy being there.
Yes, sir. Of course.
Pretty basic stuff today. I just wanted to basically tell our viewers and our listeners kind of about you, and then maybe go into some of the roles and the goals, I guess, if you will, of the Attorney General's office. So let's start off by just telling us about you.
Yeah, of course. Well, I grew up in Elizabethtown, Hardin County, Kentucky. My parents owned a small business, and it was a coffee shop, and I'd often tell people that they were a little bit ahead of the Starbucks craze, but it was a good business for them nonetheless. I spent a lot of time in there, but if I wasn't there, I was either on the ball fields or in church. And I graduated from John Hardin High School, and then went to the University of Louisville for undergrad and stayed there for law school. I played a little bit of football while I was U of L. Play is a very generous term, as I've taken to telling folks. I spent a lot of time on the bench rooting for other people that were much more talented than I was, but it was a good experience nonetheless. And as I said, I stayed at U of L for law school, graduated from the Brandeis School of Law in 2011. It was a fantastic experience for me. I had an occasion to be the president of the Student Bar Association while I was there, and to be a member of our Brandeis School of Law Review. So it was a phenomenal experience. It really undergirded my understanding of our laws here in this country and how we come to our various interpretations of those laws. And to further study and understand and to enter the practice of law, I clerked for a federal judge, a gentleman by the name of Greg Van Tatenhove, for roughly, for 2 years. We started that job in London. I actually lived in Lexington, but we'd commute to London roughly 4 to 5 times a week. After I finished that job, I moved back to Louisville and worked at a law firm there in town, Stites and Harbison, working on financial institution matters, amongst other things. I did that for about a year and 7 or 8 months, but then had an opportunity to go to D.C. and be Senator McConnell's counsel. And I ultimately made the decision to go up there after praying about it and talking to some people here that consulted their judgment and advice. And it was a transformative experience for me. Spent, again, 2.5 years there, and helped him confirm some federal judges and Neil Gorsuch to the United States Supreme Court. But what I was most proud of was the opportunity to work with the law enforcement community. So I worked closely with the myriad task forces here in the Commonwealth. I worked with the FBI, the DEA, the U.S. Marshal Service, the Kentucky Narcotics Officers Association, our police chiefs, our sheriffs, our federal and state prosecutors, really all these folks, constables, all these folks that are included in what has become the public safety challenge of our lifetime, and that is the drug epidemic. And I was particularly proud to help bring in some additional dollars through the Office of National Drug Control Policy to help with our drug interdiction efforts here in the Commonwealth. So I came back full-time in June of 2017 and was working at a law firm in Louisville, Frost Brown Todd, and I was working on some criminal justice issues as well, and decided to throw my name in the hat for Attorney General in January of 2019, and was fortunate to come out of that process as the 51st Attorney General.
And congratulations on that. we had the opportunity to interview the former Attorney General,
Yes, sir.
Now Governor. So what changes, I guess, how have your offices worked together to accomplish what you need to, or kind of do that transition? Because obviously he held the office right before you.
Right. Well, I was very honored that Governor Beshear made the decision to appoint me to fulfill the remainder of his term. That allowed me to start the job a little early and hit the ground running. So the transition went well. We worked closely with the governor's office to make sure that any existing cases or pending cases weren't falling through the cracks, and it also allowed me to build out my team earlier than my actual swearing-in date. And so it's been a good experience. We're going to have a constructive partnership. Look, I often tell people that the public safety challenges that we have here in Kentucky really have no Republican or Democratic designation by them. So we're going to do everything we possibly can to push back against the drug scourge that we have here in Kentucky, and that's an all hands on deck effort. And so I'm willing to work with whomever, our statewide elected office holders, our local officials. Jenny Haymond, who is in Richmond, is a dear friend of mine, and your Commonwealth's attorney, Mr. Smith. I look forward to working with them as well. So I'm excited about the opportunity that we have over these coming years.
Yeah, we are very fortunate in Richmond and Madison County that, even if sometimes people disagree on something, we're all on the same mission.
Right.
Especially when it comes to the enforcement of, drug crimes and all these kinds of things.
And I know Chief Ebert has that same position. So I look forward to working with him and all your folks in law enforcement.
Well, we look forward to working with you
Yes,
too.
sir.
I guess what are some of the things that you wanted to bring forward whenever obviously you got elected? So what were some of your plans prior to getting elected?
Well, the big thing that I talked about on the campaign trail is my judgment of really renewing the role of this office as the chief law enforcement office here in the Commonwealth. And for what that meant for me is that we really double down on our efforts to engage with the law enforcement community. So since I've started this job, I've obviously had the occasion to talk to you, but I was just over in Paducah yesterday.
McCracken County.
It is a long drive. Started at 5 a.m. yesterday morning. So, but I had the opportunity to visit with the chief there and the sheriff and the Commonwealth and county attorneys there to talk about how our office can be a better resource to them in the coming years ahead. I was in Owensboro a couple of days before that, again, meeting with the law enforcement community. I've tried to sit down with our U.S. Attorney, Russell Coleman, in the Western District and Rob Duncan in the Eastern District, again, to talk about how we as a law enforcement community can better collaborate effectively to push back against the drug epidemic. And so that's been my primary mission here very early on, or at the outset, is to make sure that people know that this office is moving and that we are doing everything we possibly can so that people know that we can be a resource and a good neighbor and partner in the fight against the drug epidemic. I've talked a lot about my responsibility and this office's responsibility to make sure that we have enough prosecutors and enough individuals in our Department of Criminal Investigations to really put our money where our mouth is in terms of our responsibility on the criminal side of the ledger. So we've already increased the number of special prosecutors that we have in this office. We're looking for meaningful ways to expand the presence of the Department of Criminal Investigations. I've brought in Rich Ferretti, who is a longtime Secret Service agent, to be the commissioner of the Department of Criminal Investigations. He's really excited about the opportunities to partner with our state and federal law enforcement community. So in terms of a primary priority, it's been to really figure out a way to break down the silos that we have here within our respective law enforcement agencies and do a better job of sharing intel. To the extent that we can have a role in that, we're obviously wanting and happy to play it. The other thing that I've tried to talk about too, as it relates to the Department of Criminal Investigations, is expanding the footprint of this office. And so part of the conversation that I was having in Paducah was looking for ways that we can get a visible presence of the AG's office in West Kentucky. we're ultimately looking to do that in Central and East Kentucky as well.
No, that's fantastic. I know that as a law enforcement officer, being out on the streets and seeing the things that we deal with every day, it's always good to know that the people in Frankfort are with you and supporting you in everything that we do.
Yes, sir. Well, look, I've made no bones about it that I want to do everything I can to help support and, to the extent we can, boost the morale of the law enforcement community. You all are day in, day out, putting your lives on the line to protect and serve your communities. Richmond is a robust community and robust city with a major university there. You all have an increased responsibility as it relates to the public safety. And so anything we can do in the AG's office to assist and enhance the relationship and be a good support partner to you all, we're more than willing to do.
Well, thank you very much. Well, this is that point in the program that we got to take a break.
Okay.
So we have some sponsors that come in to help take care of us. So we will be right back with you. My name is Lieutenant Josh Hale. I'm with the Attorney General Daniel Cameron, and this is Beyond the Call. We'll be back.
WBON-TV wants to thank you for making us the most popular local news source in the region. WBON-TV is now our area's most followed local news source on Facebook and social media. While others try to imitate, you can count on WBON-TV to continue to dominate your coverage of news, weather, and of course local sports. Advertising is affordable too. To be part of what we're doing here at WBON-TV, email us at information@WBONTV.com.
So you guys have shown us a lot of love on Facebook and of course our website at WBONTV.com. So we're going to let you in on a little secret, our YouTube channel. It's where all the local stories are posted first for news, and you can even catch the live stream of any of your local high school sports on there as well. Be sure to subscribe as well as clicking on the little bell for notifications. For when we post a video go live, you'll be the first to know. And don't be afraid to share and like a video. It really helps us out here at the studio to bring you the best in local news. And of course on Facebook, hit the See First button so we come up first when you're scrolling through your timeline.
Watch the Jack Burford Chevrolet Sports Show live each Monday from 6 to 7 on WBONTV.com.
That's right, Michael. You can hang out with us each week either at Jack Burford Chevrolet or at Buffalo Wild Wings in the Richmond Center. You can take part in the Law Office of Patrick O'Neill Facebook poll and share your thoughts and opinions with us each week, and we can talk about all your local sports.
Samantha, the numbers don't lie. We love showcasing the local athletes and coaches in our community and appreciate all of our great sponsors. For the best local sports coverage around, join us each Monday on WBON-TV for the Jack Burford Chevrolet Sports Show.
Hey everyone, Marissa Hempel here, News Director with Richmond's very own WBONTV.com. If you've got a story, news tip, or fantastic idea or angle for a local feature, I want you to contact me directly at marissa@WBONTV.com. Send us your pics and video through all of our links on WBONTV.com. Look for me on Facebook and Twitter too. Thanks for watching Richmond's very own WBONTV.com. We're your local source for news 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Lieutenant Josh Hale. We are here with you today in Frankfort for Beyond the Call, brought to you by the Richmond Police Department and WBON-TV. As you were with us just a few minutes ago, my guest today is Attorney General Daniel Cameron. So again, sir, thank you and welcome back.
I appreciate it, Lieutenant.
As we were talking before, you had talked about some of the roles that that you are wanting to play, or some of the different hats, if you will, that you want to work with law enforcement. What challenges have you faced since you've taken office already?
Well, I think the biggest challenge that we faced is just trying to hire folks. You know, anytime you come in with a new administration, you have to get your ducks in a row in terms of hiring the right people. I've got a great team around me. My Deputy Attorney General is a gentleman by the name of Barry Dunn. My criminal chief is a longtime prosecutor from Northern Kentucky, Amy Burke. And my civil chief is a gentleman by the name of Vic Maddox, who's been a longtime litigator. So one of the first priorities that we had when we walked into the office is just making sure that we filled out the various roles in the office with really strong and talented lawyers or other administrative personnel. And so we made that, again, a top priority, and I've been very pleased with the folks that we've brought in. We brought in Tim Kokenhauer to head up our Special Prosecutions Unit. He is, a former Commonwealth's attorney and somebody who has been serving this country in different in different ways over the course of his career, having served also in the reserves too. So we've got a really talented bunch, but initially that was one of the more trying challenges, was just trying to bring, because the urge is to start and hit the ground running as soon as you possibly can, but you have to have the personnel in place before you can do that effectively.
Sure. And so that brings up a couple of questions that I would have. So for our viewers and maybe even myself, as I didn't know, how many people do you have working for your office?
We have roughly 200 people in this office.
It's a lot of people to have to fill the roles.
And then with any new administration, you have an opportunity to appoint people. And we had about 50 slots to appoint individuals. The majority of the people in this office are what are called career staffers, and so they've been in this office for any range of time, as recently as 2 weeks to 10, 15 plus years. And the career folks in this office have been the boots on the ground, if you will, working hard for the AG's office, notwithstanding who is the AG at any given moment. And so one of the things that I wanted to make sure I did as soon as I came into this role is pay respects to the people that are out in our East Campus. That's where the majority of, we sit here in the Capitol right now, but the majority of our people are in the East Campus.
And where is that located at?
It's off of Versailles Road, and
so not even in the same vicinity here at all.
That's right. And so we've had several occasions to be over there, again, to make sure that they know that I think very highly of the work that they do daily to make sure that they're helping improve upon the public safety that we have here in the Commonwealth.
Well, fantastic. So there is, as we walk through the hallways of this gigantic building that's so beautiful for the Commonwealth of Kentucky, most people don't realize, or if they've never been here, they may not know that all branches of government are in this one building. So how has being able to be in this one building with your legislation and also the governor's office, the executive branch, how has this helped you, and the judicial too, how has this helped you to accomplish more of what your mission would be?
Well, it is very helpful to be able to talk to the various branches of government, in particular the legislature. Obviously, we're going through a budget session right now. So any conversations that we can have with legislators is paramount to helping us pass our budget. Some of the priorities that I have as it relates to increasing our special prosecutions unit, increasing the number of investigators that we have in the Department of Criminal Investigations, making sure that we have enough talent in our human trafficking and child abuse prosecution and prevention office, as well as our other various agencies here in the AG's office, requires that we get a few extra dollars in funding. And so been trying to have constant communication with our legislators to really impress upon them the value of what comes out of the AG's office in terms of improving upon the public safety. And so it is very, very efficient to be in this building that will allow us to have those constant communications and conversations with folks.
So as a law enforcement officer, I've been in my career for about 17 years. So I've had I don't want to say opportunity, but I had to deal with a lot of different types of cases. Some are not very pleasant. How have you personally adjusted to some of the roles that you're going to have to play as prosecuting, things like human trafficking or child abuse or things like that?
Well, you mentioned child abuse, and based on what metric you look at, the rate of child abuse here in the Commonwealth puts us at #1 in the country.
It's not a good place to be
it's
number one.
It's not at all. And so I've made it a priority, along with our office, to push back against that scourge. And so we're doing everything we can with the assistance of Heather Wagers, who is our division director for human trafficking and child abuse prevention and prosecution, to find meaningful ways that we can prosecute those cases. So for us, what that looks like, and it's an incremental step, is looking for ways to create a toolkit, a manual, if you will, to help our prosecutors that are in the Commonwealth's and county attorney's offices, and along with our investigators, to better effectively prosecute these cases. But there are so many challenges. Back to your original question about, how do I encounter these or engage with these different challenges that we have here? And I will tell you, it's by and large because I have a really strong team that helps me walk through some of these difficult matters, whether it be human trafficking or whether it be child abuse or the drug epidemic more generally. I think you have to have, in order to be an effective leader, you have to have strong talent around you that can provide insight and that can provide different viewpoints on any given topic. Again, I'll mention Rich Ferretti, who's had time in the federal law enforcement community. Him having those relationships has already allowed us to better strengthen our bond with the federal law enforcement community as we look for ways to bolster our efforts on the drug epidemic, to bolster our efforts against cyber crimes. We talk about human trafficking and child abuse. One of the ways that shows itself, demonstrates itself, is through internet crimes. And so having a strong internet crimes unit in place that can track these things down is really helpful. But there are a large scope of challenges that come across the AG's desk. And every morning I wake up and pray that what we do in this office will ultimately be to the benefit of every Kentuckian. And what we are charged with, in my judgment, is to be a voice for the voiceless, for the downtrodden, for those who in many ways aren't able to speak for themselves. So as long as I keep that in the front of my mind as we do this job, as we do this task, I think we'll be okay.
So you have been, just based on what you've said, and of course by virtue of the office that you have been put into, you've been thrust into the spotlight and then put into a leadership role that you, I'm certain, have been training for quite some time, especially different people that you've worked for and with. As a leader, how do you move forward every day, or how do you even start your day to motivate your people to know what they need to do?
Well, I think for me, and I think this is true of most of the folks in our office, we start with the viewpoint that this office is a public trust, and that I've been bestowed with this opportunity by the citizens of the Commonwealth. And so I owe a great debt of responsibility to the men, women, and children of all 120 counties to do everything I possibly can to further the mission of the AG's office, which is to improve upon the public safety outcomes that we have here in Kentucky. And so I think if we keep that frame of reference, if that is at the forefront of every decision that we make, that'll lead us in the right direction that we need to go.
Well, I want to touch a little bit more on that, on the public office side of it. But for now, we got to take a break again. Okay. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about maybe how people can get in contact with your office and how they can play more of a role in giving you information so that we can solve crimes and protect those that we need to protect.
Of course.
We will be right back. My name is Lieutenant Josh Hale. This is Beyond the Call by the Richmond Police Department and WBON-TV.
WBON-TV wants to thank you for making us the most popular local news source in the region. WBON-TV is now our area's most followed local news source on Facebook and social media. While others try to imitate, you can count on WBON-TV to continue to dominate your coverage of news, weather, and of course local sports. Advertising is affordable too. To be part of what we're doing here at WBON-TV, email us at information@WBONTV.com.
So you guys have shown us a lot of love on Facebook and of course our website at WBONTV.com. So we're going to let you in on a little secret, our YouTube channel. It's where all the local stories are posted first for news, and you can even catch the live stream of any of your local high school sports on there as well. Be sure to subscribe, as well as clicking on the little bell for notifications. For when we post a video go live, you'll be the first to know. And don't be afraid to share and like a video. It really helps us out here at the studio to bring you the best in local news. And of course on Facebook, hit the See First button so we come up first when you're scrolling through your timeline.
Hello and welcome back to our last segment of Beyond the Call, brought to you by the Richmond Police Department and WBON-TV. My name is Lieutenant Josh Hale, and I'm in my last segment with Attorney General Daniel Cameron. So we are happy to have him with us, and I guess before we left for the break, we were discussing maybe how the public could reach out to your offices so that you can be that, I guess you didn't use the word transparency or anything, but just how they could get information to you so that we could move forward to help you.
Well, I think the best way to reach out and communicate with our office is through our website, ag.ky.gov. That's the primary avenue for which to contact our office. It has all the relative and respective entry points for our office, whether it be through phone or email, there on the website. So that's ag.ky.gov, and that's the most effective way to get involved with what we're doing in the AG's office, and also how you can be a participant in providing information to us that might ultimately help us improve upon our public safety.
Well, fantastic. So I guess my last big set of questions here would be, before we do the wrap up, what is your, what's your goals for the rest of the year? I mean, you got a little while that you're going to be in office, so what are you wanting to accomplish for the remainder of the year?
Well, some big things are looking for ways to expand the visible footprint of the AG's office. Obviously, be a good partner and good neighbor to our law enforcement community, whether it be our state or federal law enforcement community. Push back against the abysmal child abuse rates that we have here in Kentucky, and we've already started taking incremental steps on that front with the unveiling of this toolkit in the coming months. Then finally, finding a way to continue to educate the citizenry of Kentucky on looking out for signs of human trafficking. And that sometimes means sex trafficking, but it also means labor trafficking. And so we're going to have a pretty robust effort to educate our citizens on that front as well.
Fantastic. Well, we look forward to working with you, I know, in law enforcement, in any way that we can to successfully accomplish your mission and the mission that we would have. You were talking about how to reach you. I want to go ahead and go over on how to reach the Richmond Police Department or some of our other agencies that we have in Madison County. I do want to tell you that this is going to be posted on Facebook and Twitter and WBON TV, all those other places for social media. If you do have something that is an emergency, make sure that you do not give us a Facebook message or a Twitter message, because we will check these, but it is not monitored 24/7. If you have a call that you need to speak to a police officer that is non-emergency, you can call 859-624-4776, and that will get you a police officer, that will get you a sheriff's deputy, Madison County EMS, the fire department, pretty much anybody that you will need with that. And as always, if there is an emergency, please call 911. So we want to make sure that we give you that information so that you have it if you want to reach out to us and you do need help. So thank you for letting us give that little bit of time. And sir, I want to thank you for your time that you've given us today. I know you have a very busy schedule. Anything else that you'd like to add here towards the end?
No, I just want to say, look, I really appreciate all that you are doing, the Richmond Police Department, to better public safety and protect and serve the citizens there in Richmond. So I'm always happy to sit down with the Thin Blue Line because of the great work that you all do on a daily basis to ensure that our folks are staying safe. You are the front lines, and I'm grateful for you. Thank you, Lieutenant
so much.
Hell.
You are welcome to do a ride along anytime you want to come do a ride along with us.
That sounds good to me, my friend.
So we are going to wrap this up right now. This is Beyond the Call, brought to you by the Richmond Police Department and WBON TV. I am Lieutenant Josh Hale, and this is my special guest, Attorney General Daniel Cameron, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much.